Nothing will expose your ego quite like trading. You see, every trade is basically a mirror that reflects your current state of being, your state of mind. Whether you're afraid, you're greedy, you're overconfident, you're full of doubt. See, all of that becomes amplified the minute you hit buy or sell. Now, it's not actually the charts that you are battling with. You're battling with yourself, or more specifically, your ego. Your ego is a collection of all of the stories that you believe about yourself, about others, about how life treats you, and how you respond to life. It's everything you're attached to, like your name, your relationships, your status, or whatever that is. So trading feels spiritual because it's just like in meditation, where you are forced to confront yourself raw and unfiltered. In meditation, you notice, especially if you're just starting out, how noisy your mind is, how much chatter there is, how it needs to grasp onto a thought. As you observe and pay attention to how many times you are distracted from whatever it is you're focused on during meditation, it occurs to you that, holy shit, your head is a very noisy place. Okay? And you start to notice all of the patterns of thought, all the attachments and repulsions, because it's funny how people always talk about attachment but never repulsion, which is two sides of the same coin. Because whatever you're repulsed by, you are attached to. So, every time that you detach from a trade's outcome, essentially, you are practicing a version of ego death. And you need that, you see, because the ultimate truth, regardless of how amazing your strategy is, regardless of how deep your pockets may be, is that you are not in control. Your ego is not in control. See, the strategies and the indicators and all of that stuff, it's good, it's helpful. It's there to give your ego a reason to feel confident about taking the trade. However, it does not help if you over identify with the outcome of that trade. Because if you do that, you will be knocked flat on your ass when you lose. And you don't want that. The state you're looking for is a state of trading in flow. That's literally it. Because control is actually an illusory thing. Once you click that buy or sell button, that's it, it's done. Trading is spiritual because you must be present. What it means to be present is to notice you are, or say this, I am. It means being here and being now, and you're noticing everything happening outside of you and everything happening inside of you without ascribing a specific value or judgment. You do not judge what you're noticing, you simply notice, you simply observe. So you see maybe a dog pooping in the park. You don't label it good or bad, it just is a dog pooping in the park. You notice that. You are present, you are here. Now. And trading rewards that presence. You must be present because you cannot expect to be rewarded if your mind is still stuck on yesterday's trades or the last trade you took, whether it's a loss or a win. You can't expect excellent results when you're always fantasizing about tomorrow's gains or the gains to come from the trade you've taken. You just need to be here fully in the moment at every point in time. You need to respond intuitively to what's on the charts. There's one thing to know what a hammer looks like, what a head and shoulder look like, what the swing is and all of that stuff. That's great. But there's some times where your intuition will kick in and something looks like a stellar setup, but for some reason it tells you to close and you don't close, you don't listen because you're too busy fantasizing about the profits to come. And then later on, hours later, when you're in drawdown, you're kicking yourself in the ass for not listening to your intuition. That's because you were not present. And the way to cultivate that presence is by making a daily practice of it. So you sit every day for 10 to 15 minutes and just do nothing other than focus on your breath. You can close your eyes. Your mind will definitely wander away. It could wander as many as 60 times in a single minute. It doesn't matter. Every time that you notice your mind has wandered, you should be glad because the noticing is a thing. People say they can't meditate because they think that your head is supposed to be clear when you meditate. And I'm telling you, no. The goal of meditation is to notice how many times you were distracted. And then you bring that back. Bring your attention back to the breath. And you're glad that you noticed each time. And with time, what you find is it's easier for you to stay present here and now, here and now. Why the breath? You can't really have much of an opinion on your breath. You breathe in, you breathe out. What are you thinking about that? There's nothing to judge, okay? Unless you're wheezing or something. So, when you cultivate presence like this, that translates to other things that you do, including trading. Now you're able to stick with your plan instead of closing prematurely, for instance, because you're present. You're not worried about what's going to happen that might bite you in the ass or what's going to happen that might not work out. And in that presence, it is easier to hear your intuition rise within you and speak and tell you, you know what, close this, go look at this other one instead. All right? This is how you remain in the flow. This is how you remain in the state of I am, unconditioned. Not, oh, I'm a bad trader today. Not, no, I am an excellent trader because of the trades I took yesterday. No, no, no. Just I am. That's it. Trading is spiritual for so many reasons. Like the fact that you're basically watching the collective consciousness play out in the form of a chart. Price action may seem random, but it is not. It is all about observing the psyche of different traders, institutions that are involved in this marketplace, on this playground. You're watching the fear, you're watching the greed. All of that is condensed into just a bunch of candles moving up and down. And when you study it, you're not just looking at data, you're looking at the literal dreamscape of humanity. Okay? You're looking at it. And as you look at it, once more, I must come to the topic of detachment. You have to let go. You have to let go. Let go of needing the charts to play out in a specific way. This is detachment. In life in general, and a lot of people don't want to hear this, but the truth is that there is nothing to gain, there is nothing to lose, there is nothing to prove, there is nothing to fix, there is nothing to change. There is nothing. And if you continue to assume that there are things to change, things to fix, you have a point to prove, you have to gain, you have to lose, then life will continue to give you circumstances that reflect that. But if you just let things be, you will find that's when the market will reward you. Because you're no longer forcing trades. Because you're more in alignment as you take the trades. Because you can tell that all you need is to surrender and trust and align. Am I saying that you should not do the necessary, which is to familiarize yourself with your charts and learn the terminology and all of that? If you're brand new to trading, try it out on a demo, try it out on a live, because live trading is way different than demo. Know what it feels like to actually lose money, to make money, and then to find a happy medium where you are no longer moved by either event. I'm not saying you shouldn't do all of that, but you need to recognize that there comes a point where you have no further control. You must just allow life and probability to play out in your favor. All right? A final point I would like to make is this. You must come to recognize your losses are wins. You have to be excited whenever you lose, or at least neutral. If you can bring the idea of winning off of this pedestal that you put it on, and the idea of losing, you lift that as well and make that equal. What you've essentially done is neutralized any chances of you sabotaging yourself. Because you recognize that every time that you lose, it's basically a pullback to the downside on your equity curve. And then what happens after a pullback? You can expect a continuation. This is assuming, of course, that you have found yourself an exploitable edge in the market and that you follow your strategy and your risk management and you honor your psychological and emotional capital as well. So, bring these two things equally, winning and losing. You're either equally excited about them or you really don't give a fuck. And then tell me how things go over the coming days and weeks. My name is Nessa. Thank you for watching.